So say for instance it started here and then they evolved to this point, and the fact that they evolved to that point, we are now able to evolve from that point into something greater. So it's like we are helping our family's evolution of like healing our repeating cycles and healing our traumas that are stored in our DNA. Hello my loves, it is Lumi. I thought I would just share some recent meditative insights I have had recently. So the first thing I really feel guided to touch on today is the fact that, you know, a lot of times we have two options in life, or we think we have two options, when actually there's an infinite number of possibilities, decisions we can make. However, in life, when we're choosing between two options, what decision to make, a lot of times we think to ourselves like, okay, which one is the right decision? You know, like there's a right decision and there's a wrong decision. But realistically, there is no right or wrong decision, because most likely whatever decision we make won't be the worst thing that ever happened to us, and it won't be the greatest decision we've ever made and the best decision we could have possibly made. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times there's two good options to choose between. And so I just wanted to throw that out there, share that realization, because that came to me a few days ago and I've really been like pondering on that. And you know, it's kind of amazing to see like, okay, like I've been able to forgive myself and forgive other people for things that have happened, because I realized like, oh, there wasn't this like polarity of this is the right decision and this is the wrong decision. It was like, okay, this decision is here. It might be a little better than this decision, but we don't know. And better in what ways? Like better in the way that it might be more enjoyable for us, or better in the way that this decision might lead us to a more successful path, or something that, you know, we learn a lot more from. But realistically, either way, we're going to learn whatever it is that we're meant to learn. And both decisions will lead us down a path that still fulfills us if we choose to be grateful for our circumstances and confident in the decision that we've made. So for example, first this job offer came up in Greenville, South Carolina, and I don't know why, but I just didn't ever like reach out to them to accept the opportunity. And then like a week later, this job offer in a small town in North Carolina came up, and I accepted that job offer really just because it was familiar to me, the area, and I wouldn't have to move too far, and it would be easier looking for a house and all these other things and things like that. So, you know, I have kind of like questioned, or like almost not quite like beat myself up about it, but it's like, you know, in your mind you're like, why didn't I move to South Carolina? Like, it's so beautiful there, and like where I live now is fine and it's beautiful and I enjoy it, but it's like there was always this like inkling in the back of my mind, like what if I had chosen the job in South Carolina? Then I would have a home in South Carolina and I would be living there. And that's been my dream place to live forever. So it's like I could have been living there this whole time. But I did not choose that path. And you know what? It's perfectly okay. Because as long as I am grateful for where I am right now, that's all that really matters. You know, I am grateful to be here. They would have both been good decisions. Here, I have planted roots and made new friends and learned so much that one day if I do decide to move to South Carolina, I will have all these lessons learned, and I feel like moving there, it will just be my oyster. Like I could do anything based off of the lessons that I learned here. So, and another life lesson which has really like been at the forefront of my mind recently is the fact that we can go through healing. And yes, healing is absolutely necessary in order to move forward in becoming the best person you can possibly be. So, This is not to say that you don't need healing, because healing is very important, and it has been such a grounding, solidifying thing in my life. And another realization I have been feeling called to share with you all is the fact that the majority of parents that I know and have been exposed to in my life want better for their children than what they had. So I have seen in my life, and I just had this realization, but my mom always wanted us to be a specific way, like her vision of perfect. And it was like she was controlling us so much to be perfect that I feel like we almost felt inadequate because she expected us to be perfection. So I can see now that she was raised a certain way, my dad was raised a certain way. They had these traumas that they collected from their childhood, in which they had these feelings of guilt and shame, and they probably felt at some points that they weren't good enough, or that they couldn't live up to their parents' expectations. And so therefore, they tried to create the best life possible for themselves and my sister and I. And we did have an amazing childhood. We had a nice roof over our heads. We always had, security, stability, all of those things that are like our root necessary needs. So it was almost like my parents tried to embody this image of parents that they thought was the best image of parents. So, it takes a lot of healing to realize that you are worthy of a certain life, if you haven't always felt that way. And even through my mom trying to push us to be a certain way, almost pushed us the opposite way, because of the fact that when something means so much to you and you really try to make this happen, it just repels it, because that's how magnetism and polarity works. So I feel like I have gone through many years of healing, and specifically this past year, focusing on myself and investing in my healing. And now I have just had this realization, oh, I am worthy and deserving of this life that my mom envisioned for me. However, now I actually have processed the healing that came from the control of her trying to force this lifestyle on me, which therefore made me not want it. So I have been able to process that, recognize that that's where she's coming from, heal that within myself. And now it's like I understand why she had that vision of this life. And now it's like I see why she wanted me to have that specific picture in her mind that she had of my life. It's like now that it stopped being forced upon me and I've been able to figure things out for myself. It's like, oh, now I understand, maybe I do want these specific things that my mom wanted me to have, but because it didn't feel natural for her to have those things, it was so almost burdensome and such a big deal for her that we, had a good life and all this good stuff that is amazing, who doesn't want their parent to want them to have a good life, it's great. They say that 14 generations of our ancestors, their memories and their traumas, their emotions are all stored in our DNA. So basically, if you are here, if you are the one in family to break so many of these generational patterns, then you will be able to release that and embody the lifestyle, and probably an even greater one than they could have ever envisioned for you, because now it's like you have released that trauma and you have healed yourself, and you are now intentionally choosing where you want your life to be. So all of this to say, we go through a healing process, and it's not always about the healing. even though I do firmly believe that that needs to happen in order to get to the next level of life. But say, theoretically here, if we were to forget our past, forget our traumas, release everything, and just decide who we want to be, we wouldn't have to focus so much on healing. Basically, a lot of us focus on healing for a specific amount of time in our life until we put that mental work into physical work and taking actions to actually become that person, to let go of those patterns that were not serving us. So it's even if you don't fully let things go, you can still intentionally choose who you want to be. And the more that you meditate on that, and I would especially recommend choosing a few values that you would like to embody each day and sit down with them and meditate with them. For example, say, I am balanced, I am strong, I am grateful. And then really allow those emotions and ways of being to penetrate your aura and your energy field at the beginning of the day, so that those qualities will naturally be how you hold yourself that day. And of course, this might take time to actually reprogram your subconscious mind, because things like this don't just happen like that. But you know what I'm saying? We can all intentionally choose, if we set our intentions and focus on them clearly enough, and we know what we want clearly enough, and we know who we want to be, then we can intentionally choose more and more every day to be that person. And then we will be becoming that person, and then once we become that person, we will become an even better person. So I do think that healing is very important, but don't get stuck in that mental state forever, because we do want to be able to let it go and redefine it and become a new person. It's almost like the law of attraction. Your thoughts create your reality, which is somewhat true. Your thoughts do influence your actions, and your actions create your reality. So therefore, your thoughts and your actions together create your reality. I know that so many of us do stay mindful, and we are constantly choosing to evolve and to become better people all the time. So if that is you, I hope that this message inspired you and brought you some clarity. I hope you're able to meditate on it tonight and let this process through you. And whatever is on your mind, whatever is on your heart, that you're able to process it and just move forward with this new energy and embodying your new aura and your new way of being. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I am wishing you a life full of happiness and wellness. Hey Marty! Marty came to join us. Come say hi! Come say hi! Intermission. Come say hi, Marty. Hi, Marty. Hi, Shorty. I love you, baby. I love you. Yes, I do. Let's get on the floor and finish the video, because I want to be with Marty. I want to be with Marty. Hey, Marty. I love you, baby. I love you, sweetheart. This is his bed, y'all. This is his king-size bed.